Good evening, dreamer. Where are you watching from tonight? Wherever your pillow rests, city skyline, countryside, or somewhere between, this is your safe place to drift. Tonight, let my whisper guide you through the gentle lore that glimmers behind every Disney princess tale. We'll move slowly, like lanterns on a hush blue river, sharing soft secrets, soothing voices, and woven wonders. Close your eyes, breathe deep, and let the story carry you towards sleep. Chapter 1: The Origin of the Princess Realms. Long ago, far beyond the curtain of waking thought, there drifted a realm made only of dreams. It shimmered like a single silent bubble, floating on an endless midnight sea. In that bubble slept every wish a gentle heart had ever whispered. Hopes for courage, laughter, healing, wonder, and love. Those hopes pulsed softly, like fireflies under glass, until the bubble grew full and ripe with promise. Then, on the hush of what felt like a breath, it blossomed, and the worlds of the princesses were born. The blossoming sounded less like thunder, more like a lullaby stretched across the stars. First came a low hum, the note of pure possibility. Next, a pearly light unfolded outward, teasing shapes out of shadow. Peaks, valleys, rivers, seas. Each shape glowed with its own hue: emerald forests, sapphire waters, rose gold skies, and yet all were stitched together by the same silvery thread of wonder. This was the land of dreams, now divided softly into many kingdoms, each a pocket of magic tuned to the hearts that would one day call it home. At the center of the newborn land, a single river formed. It was no ordinary flow of water. Its waves carried glints of starlight, and its currents hummed with lullabies not yet sung. Story keepers later named it the Dream Water. From its crystalline mouth, the river split like slender fingers, wandering outward to seek every corner of the realm. Where one finger brushed a glade, a whispering forest rose. Where another kissed bare stone, a castle's foundation grew. Where yet another found an empty sky, it curved downward, filling with ocean so deep that pearls of memory slept on its floor. Thus, forests, oceans, and high castle hills became siblings, linked always by the hush-bright dream water that wound through them in secret channels. Though the land itself was alive with promise, it longed for caretakers, hearts strong enough to bear its magic, gentle enough to share it. And so, as dawn first washed the sky in peach light, the elements of creation gathered in quiet congress. Soft clouds of air arrived on sighs of morning breeze. Rivers of molten gold rumbled from the earth's molten core. Flames flickered into shape, their tongues bending like ribbons. Finally, starlight trickled down from far above, weaving frost blue, moonlit violet, and sun-warm gold into a single tapestry. Each element gifted a sliver of itself to spark new life, the ancient royal bloodlines. Those bloodlines emerged as newborn infants swaddled not in cloth, but in the radiant weave of their element's blessing. Some were cradled in lilies along the forest floor, others rocked gently by sea foam, still others placed upon pillows of cloud floating near mountain tops. At the moment of each birth, the sky wrote a shining mark, a new star, above the child's future kingdom. That star glimmered brighter than its neighbors, pulsing in time with the tiny heartbeat of its princess-to-be. In the eons that followed, people would look up on clear nights, find that single star, and feel courage trickle into their veins. They would know, deep as a lullaby, that someone destined for kindness guarded their land. But no hero story begins without silent guardians. Long before the first cradle rocked or the first palace tower gleamed, there existed cosmic beings called wish-bearers, elders of the dreaming dark, shaped from ancient stardust and melody. Each wish-bearer carried a lantern whose flame never trembled, no matter how wild the cosmic winds. Every lantern held a memory of the very first dream ever dreamt, a desire for a better tomorrow. Legends speak of 6 wish-bearers who watched the blossoming of the princess realms from a meadow of clouds. They nodded to one another, for they understood that dreams, once born, must be tended like gardens lest thorns creep in. So the wish-bearers descended, their lanterns lighting soft paths through the sky. As they drifted low over the newborn land, sparks fell from their lights and became godmothers, tiny figures of gentle power able to flit through keyholes, whisper to flowers, and paint courage into hearts at the very moment fear tried to settle. These godmothers would one day guide Cinderella to that ballroom and sweep dust from her spirit. They would one day bend over Aurora's cradle with gifts of grace and song. On this dawn of all dawns, however, they simply waited, wings folded like petals until the royal lines awakened. Time, in those first days, flowed differently, at once slower than a lullaby and quicker than a wish. Forests reached maturity overnight. Oceans learned their tides before lunch. Stones stacked themselves into towers before twilight. Yet through all this swift, soundless growth, the dream water kept its patient rhythm, connecting one fresh wonder to another. A drop that washed a pine root at dawn might tumble past coral palaces by dusk, then slip beneath a castle bridge come night. In secret grottos, merfolk listened to its soft current and claimed it sang of voices not yet heard, a young girl yearning to wander where the people are. High above, in mountain passes dusted with frost, the river's mist crystallized into delicate snowflakes said to echo the laugh of a queen yet unborn, one who would weave palaces out of her own ice-bright will. Each region found a guardian star overhead, but the stars alone could not steer fate. They merely shone possibilities. That work belonged to the first royal council, composed of beings created directly from elemental blessing. There was Emberlyn, child of flame, eyes glowing like hearth embers; Thalassine, a daughter of water, skin shimmering with hidden tides; Zephyra of air, voice as soft as dawn; Tyrannald of earth, shoulders strong as mountain spine; and Luminelle of starlight, hair trailing constellations. The council's mission was to seed harmony across the kingdoms. They roamed freely, riding wind horses, drifting in seashell chariots, slipping inside echoing caves at the earth's heart. And everywhere they traveled, they sowed tokens of their element. Emberlyn left hearthstones that would one day warm a frog-kissing chef in New Orleans. Thalassine hid a single tear in a shell that would one day glow when a voyager needed guidance over restless waves. Zephyra breathed a lullaby into a silk scarf that future riders on magic carpets might clutch for courage. Tyrannald planted seeds that would become trees strong enough to cradle towers or bear apple orchards. Luminelle traced a fingertip across night skies, anchoring the guiding constellations each princess would one day look to when her path felt lost. Generations unfolded. Ancient royal lines branched into family trees, whose leaves sparkled with inherited magic. Songs that coaxed forest animals, voices that moved coral walls, hearts that could command light and shadow to dance. Yet the world remained outwardly gentle, for the wish-bearers hovered high, lantern flames steady, ready to nudge events back toward hope whenever gloom threatened. This, historians say, is why villainy in the princess realms rises, but never fully conquers. Because shadow may stretch long, but lantern light always waits above it. On midsummer nights, if a breeze passes over a still pond, reflections ripple into shapes. Silhouettes of a tower with golden hair drifting from its window, a seashell throne hidden beneath waves, a white marble palace perched under perpetual sunrise. Folklore claims these ripples are memories, echoes from the moment the realms first blossomed. Children who spy them may swear they hear faint lullabies. Some recall verses. When dream water flows and twilight sings, a crown is born on soft star wings. Such songs feel old, yet familiar, like they were sewn into every cradle song ever hummed. The land itself never forgot its birth. Mountains sometimes glow faintly at midnight, their peaks writing pale runes against the sky. Symbols only the wish-bearers or perhaps a princess in need might read. Rivers occasionally reverse their flow at dawn, carrying dew mist backward in time, gifting wildflowers memories of tomorrow's sunrise. Trees along castle lawns drop leaves shaped like tiny keys. Keys that fit locks hidden behind library shelves or underneath ballroom floorboards, unlocking memories of those first elemental blessings. Across centuries, as each princess stepped onto the stage of her personal tale, a familiar ritual unfolded beyond mortal sight. The star above her kingdom sent down a lone spark. That spark floated into the dream water, drifted along secret channels until it found the princess asleep, perhaps curled under a quilt, perhaps nodding off in a tower. It settled on her brow like the gentlest kiss, and in dreaming she saw a vision, a council of faceless guardians, lanterns swinging, rivers glowing, constellations shifting in patterns that spelled both memory and map. She would wake uncertain whether it was only a dream, but somewhere inside, a new courage sang. She might say, "I just feel like I'm meant for more," or "Something calls me beyond the reef," or "Love isn't just a story, it's destiny." Whatever words she chose, they were echoes of that ancient spark, reminders that her journey belonged to the endless weave begun at creation's dawn. As bedtime settles around us tonight, imagine standing on a hill where every realm touches. To the east, forests whisper under moonsilver. To the west, waves glimmer turquoise. In the north, frost lights twinkle. In the south, castle windows glow like coals of home. Somewhere beneath your feet, dream water murmurs along stone veins, ready to carry hopes you haven't even named. Look up, and you'll see countless stars. One of them pulses a little brighter, keeping pace with your heartbeat. Perhaps it belongs to a princess you love. Perhaps, in this moment, it belongs to you. For if the wish-bearers taught the realms one truth, it is that every gentle wish, no matter how small, plants the seed of a kingdom. And now, with the origin softly told, the realms settle once more into hush. Rivers drift under moonlight, castles rest against the night sky, forests hold their breath as stars blink. The wish-bearers raise their lanterns in blessing, the godmothers tuck their wings, and the elements hum a cradle song older than time. Let the glow of those newborn realms linger behind your eyelids, and feel the soft pull of dreams begin. Our journey has opened its first door, deeper wonders wait just ahead, carried on the dream water's lullaby, ready to guide you farther into sleep. Chapter 2. The Kingdom of Enchanted Castles. Picture the land of dreams just before dawn. Hushed clouds drifting like downy quilts, distant rivers humming lullabies beneath stone bridges, and, rising above every horizon, a scatter of castles so alive with wonder that even the stars pause to admire their silhouettes. These fortresses are more than walls and windows. They are breathing hearts of magic, storied keepers of ritual, memory, and promise. Tonight, we tiptoe through 4 of the most treasured strongholds, each tied to a different princess, each alive in its own secret way. 1. The castle that shifts its bones. Beast's Manor in the Forgotten Forest. Deep within an enchanted wood stands a manor so unpredictable that travelers swear it rearranges itself whenever no one is watching. Locals call it La Bates Castle, but within its ivy-clad walls, the furniture simply refers to it as home. At first glance, the place seems frozen in a single breath of storm-dark grandeur. Claw-carved pillars, gargoyle spouts, chandeliers locked in mid-swing. Yet if you linger, perhaps tracing your finger along a marble railing, you'll feel the stone vibrate like the throat of a giant cat purring. That's the hint. that the castle is about to stretch. It starts with the staircases. One moment they sweep in a grand double arc, red velvet spines coiling to the upper wings. The next, they slide sideways like chess pieces, their banisters twisting into new patterns of roses and thorns. Whole flights detach and glide upward, aligning with balconies that did not exist the night before. Librarians who reshelve books at dusk often awaken to find themselves on entirely different floors by dawn, forced into grand treasure hunts before morning tea. Behind this restless architecture lies a protective instinct. Scholars of castle lore believe the manor is bound to the heart of its master, once a beast of sorrow, now a prince of healing. When his emotions churned like winter blizzards, corridors lengthened and doors locked, keeping danger, and sometimes hope, at bay. When kindness kindled in him, rooms blossomed with hidden passages leading to warmth, a forgotten music hall, a windowed orchard, a study filled with talking globes that play lullabies of faraway seas. The staircases themselves hold quiet rules. If they twist 3 times before settling, they are pointing toward a lesson the prince still needs to learn. If they flow downward as smooth as a slide, they are guiding loved ones to where they are most needed. Be that the rose chamber, where petals hover like slow snow, or the kitchens, where teapots giggle in porcelain whispers. Guests sometimes attempt to chart maps of this shifting maze, marking each turn with chalk symbols, yet by sunrise the walls politely wipe themselves clean, as though the castle prefers that every path be discovered with fresh eyes. In this way, the manor teaches patience, curiosity, and the bravery of accepting change. Gifts it once offered to a shy village girl holding a candle and a book. 2. Castle Everdawn, Aurora's palace of perpetual morning. Journey east, where misty highlands meet pink-tinged sky, and you'll spy Castle Everdawn resting atop a ridge of blooming briars. Locals swear the sunrise lingers there longer than anywhere else in the world, caught between 2 heartbeats of daybreak, the golden hush before birdsong and the rosy hush after. This gentle pause, they say, is a spell woven at Aurora's christening, a blessing meant to keep her safe in the delicate hour when dreams first slip into waking. Walk through its main gate, and shafts of honeylight follow you as faithfully as hounds. The halls glow peach and gold, no matter how late the hour. Moonrise? The corridors still gleam. Midnight? The pillars still blush with dawn. It is as though time itself stops to sip tea, drawn in by the castle's morning fragrance of sweet briar rose. Castle Everdawn's greatest secret is the skyward court, an octagonal room with a ceiling open to the heavens. Here, each dawn is caught like a dragonfly in amber. Sunbeams enter but never exit. They hang in mid-air as threads of glassy light, knitting a luminous canopy overhead. Court artisans gently pluck these beams with silver tongs, shaping them into stained glass panes, lute strings, and once a cradle for a newborn princess. Yet every blessing bears a shadow of caution. The perpetual morning keeps sleepers safe, but it also tempts wanderers to linger, forgetting that real dawn outside the walls marches on. Travelers have lost track of days inside Everdawn, lulled by warm breezes and birdsong that never fades. For this reason, royal stewards perform a candle-calling ritual at every full moon. They light a single violet candle at the castle's heart, and its smoke forms a gentle clock hand that points travelers to the exit, reminding them to return to the ordinary flow of day and night. When Aurora walks these halls, the morning hush deepens. Even marble statues lean in to listen to her steps, for she carries within her the last echo of that sleeping curse, a reminder that stillness can both endanger and protect. It was here, beneath pink blushing arches, that a spinning wheel once hid in cobwebbed gloom. And it is here now that the princess presides over a realm determined to turn that grim memory into a promise. This dawn shall never fade. 3. The ballroom clock of Cinderella's palace, keeper of hours and hearts. Southward lies a kingdom of grand staircases and glass-arched courts where Cinderella reigns. A realm that learned long ago how sharply midnight can cut the thread of dreams. Visitors focus on glass slippers glittering in cabinets or pumpkin carriages preserved in rose-lined stables. Yet castle historians know the true marvel is a towering ballroom clock. It stretches from marble floor to star-painted ceiling, its face carved of mother of pearl that shimmers like moons on water. But this clock does not simply tick. It remembers. Each swing of its pendulum sweeps through the air in silence, capturing wisps of moments from every ball ever danced within its light. Steps, twirls, laughter, the very feel of joy is gathered into invisible threads and stored behind the clock's dial like pages in an endless diary. At times, when the moon waxes blue and portraits along the walls are lonely for company, the clock loosens those threads. It projects faint after images across the ballroom floor. Phantom dancers twirling in shimmering echoes, orchestras playing notes too soft for human ears, a young woman in a gown of starlight gliding from stair to stair. Anyone present will feel a tingle on the back of their neck, as though history's hand is inviting them to join a dance older than memory. The clock chimes only 12 times each year, never at midnight, but at the final strike of dusk on the princess's coronation day. At that moment the bells ring thrice, pause, then ring once more, echoing the fateful night when Cinderella's magic slipped away at the 12th stroke. Scholars interpret this pattern as a vow. Hope can break, but it can also return, stronger and poised for dawn. Few know that at the base of the clock hides a silver keyhole shaped like a crescent shoe. Slipping a glass crystal key inside grants access to a spiraling staircase tucked within the clock's belly. The steps descend past gears as enormous as windmills and springs as long as rivers, down to a hidden memory vault. There, glass vials glow with preserved moments, each labeled in looping script. First dance of spring, a prince's promise. Steps of courage, when slippers shattered. The princess visits sometimes on quiet evenings, opening vials to release memories that warm her people's hearts whenever sorrow threatens. And so the clock stands, a silent sentinel that keeps not just time, but the beat of countless hopeful hearts. 4. The Hall of Whispering Portraits. Snow White's Mountain Palace. High amid pine-crowned mountains rests Snow White's palace, a structure of white quartz kissed by evergreen scent and winter sun. Though its exterior gleams like freshly fallen snow, the real magic waits beyond the heavy wooden doors of the Whispering Gallery. Portraits of ancestors line this curved hall, each frame carved with woodland motifs: stags, apples, ravens, and poppies. By day, the paintings appear ordinary, save for eyes so lifelike they glint with secret knowing. But when dusk pours blue shadows through arched windows, the portraits awaken. Lips in oil paint part, and breathless murmurs drift like wind through leaves. The voices rarely rise above a hush. They speak in riddles, lullabies, and gentle warnings. These whispers are more than echoes of the past. They are protective threads woven to keep the royal line safe. Legend says that after Snow White's brush with the poisoned apple, her grief-stricken ancestors begged the forest spirits for a way to stop any future treachery. The spirits answered, "Let wisdom speak without being seen." Thus, the portraits received life. They alert the princess to hidden dangers, recall recipes to counter curses, and comfort her with tales of courage on nights when memory of the queen's hate still clings like frost. If you place your ear to a frame, you may hear overlapping words. Kindness guards hollow hearts, or mirror shards mend brighter than whole glass. Yet the portraits never reveal secrets to those who come in greed. They test each listener, coaxing them to share a story of compassion first. Only then will the frames grow warm, and whispers float free like petals in spring air. During the winter solstice, Snow White hosts the Festival of Voices. Lanterns glow in every sconce, musicians play flutes carved from reindeer antler, children carry ribbons painted with apple blossoms. At midnight, the portraits sing as one, a soft choral hum that ripples through pine forests and drifts across snowfields, promising that warmth always blossoms again, even after the coldest bite. 5. Locks of melody keys that sing the castles awake. Though each castle differs in stone and story, they share one gentle secret. Certain doors cannot be opened by iron or gold, but by song alone. These melody locks appear as ordinary handles until moonlight reveals fine, shimmering lines, notations etched in silver that curve along keyholes like delicate sheet music. Cinderella's corridor outside the royal nursery features a lullaby lock that answers only 3 notes hummed in pure kindness. Belle's library hides a reading nook behind a bookshelf door. A whispered waltz triggers the latch and swings the shelf aside, unveiling sun-dappled cushions and enchanted quills eager to jot down dreams. In Castle Everdawn, an attic door remains sealed until one sings the opening line of Dawn's birdsong. And in Snow White's palace, a secret staircase behind the Whispering Gallery opens to a quiet tower if you whistle a tune, known only to the 7 dwarfs. The origin of these locks ties back to the Wishbearers' lanterns. When their sparks fell at the dawn of realms, some fused with castle timbers, gifting doors an ear for kindness. If anger or greed rests in a singer's heart, the melody turns sour, and the lock falls silent. But should the tune carry warmth, a desire to protect, to heal, to share, bolts glide back with a sigh. Royal children grow up treating these songs like bedtime games, racing through corridors on treasure hunts, humming carefully to reveal cozy hideaways filled with journals, telescopes, and half-finished tapestries. Late at night, when storms rumble across the kingdoms, the princesses lean against melody doors, singing softly until they click open into safe spaces glowing with lantern light and familiar stories. Thus, music weaves through stone, creating passageways that connect castle hearts to human hearts. The lesson is simple and lullaby sweet. In places where walls listen, it is the gentlest voice that unlocks the strongest door. A soft farewell to the night's tour. Our moonlit wander now drifts to an end. Beyond Beast's ever-turning staircases, Castle Everdawn's unending sunrise, Cinderella's memory clock, and Snow White's murmur-painted hall, countless other fortresses sleep, each with its own living secrets. Some keep gardens that bloom only when lullabies float across fountains. Others hide mirrors that reflect not faces, but futures dared. Yet all these castles share one promise. Within their walls, wonder is constant, comfort is near, and every stone remembers the first dream that wished it into being. So when your own room grows still and the night leans closer, imagine a corridor of soft torchlight unfolding before you. Hear faint music coaxing a secret door ajar. Feel the floor glide gently beneath your feet like Beast's staircase. Let dawn's rosy hush brush your cheeks like Castle Everdawn's glow. Picture portraits smiling down, whispering, "Rest, dear heart." Allow the kingdom of enchanted castles to cradle your thoughts, and drift gently onward to the next realm of dreams. Chapter 3. Oceans, Islands, Underwater Kingdoms. Close your eyes and breathe in the hush of a tide that never ends. Hear the low thrum far below the surface, the heartbeat of a sentient sea that has watched dreams rise and kingdoms fall since the first moon pulled silver ribbons across its back. Tonight, we drift upon that living water, gliding past coral spires and starlit waves to visit the lore of 2 daughters of the deep, Ariel of Atlantica and Moana of Motunui. Their stories, bound by sea spirits and prophecy, weave through hidden libraries, sun-drenched atolls, and ruins so old that even salt forgets their names. 1. The ocean that listens. Long before sailors named currents or cartographers inked blue on parchment, the ocean already understood the language of longing. Each wave carried whispers of hope, some light as foam, others heavy as anchors. In return, the sea answered with gifts: gleaming shells that hummed of distant places, shimmering fish that guided lost boats, sudden storms that swept cruelty from decks. Many cultures spoke of the ocean as a being with more moods than moons. Islanders called it Moana Nui, the Great Mother, saying she had 1,000 eyes in the form of swirling eddies and 1,000 arms in the shape of currents that wrapped the world. She chose champions rarely, but when she did, tides bent in their favor. A boy stumbling on a beach might find a conch already polished, warming his palms like a pulse. A girl singing over tide pools could see the water rise playfully to braid her melody into its own hush. The sea's fondest children, however, held destinies so large that constellations rearranged to mark their journeys, destinies written in coral libraries and star-path charts, waiting for ears brave enough to listen. 2. Ariel's coral library of shipwrecked scrolls. Far beneath roaring surf, where sunlight thins into green hush, lies Atlantica's grand palace. It glitters with shell-inlaid columns and pearl-veined domes. Yet Ariel's favorite refuge hides deeper still, the coral library. Imagine a canyon of branching pink and violet coral forming natural bookshelves, each crevice cradling scrolls salvaged from wrecks above. Lanternfish drift between aisles, their bellies glowing soft amber, lighting words that once braved fire and ink on land. When storms dash ships against hidden rocks, pages swirl downward like startled birds. Crabs scuttle to collect them, while manta librarians gently nudge parchments into safe nooks. Each scroll is preserved in bubble glass spheres that maintain a whisper of air, so ink never bleeds. Ariel curates the collection with the care of a stargazer mapping new heavens. She classifies by scent and story: salt-stained tall tales, fragrant spice logs from distant kingdoms, letters sealed with rose wax. There is even a section of silenced songs, sheet music recovered from sunken orchestras, each stave shimmering silver in shifting light. One particularly precious scroll recounts the legend of the stormbirds, mythic gulls with storm-gray wings whose cries can still tempests when sung in harmony. Ariel believes these birds once guided lost mariners through black squalls, painting safe passages across lightning-lit skies. Whenever hurricanes boil on the surface, she swims out to reefs, singing fragments of the scroll's melody, hoping to awaken the stormbird's descendants. Islanders sometimes report hearing a choir of gulls above gale winds, after which the storm line miraculously opens, revealing a calm blue corridor to shore. They call the phenomenon Ariel's Path. Another shelf houses sea curses counter-rhymes, tattered spells penned by fearful sailors. They warn of kelp knots that tighten at the sound of lies, or pearls that steal voices if worn by the ungrateful. Ariel studies each superstition like a puzzle, pairing them with counter-rhymes that break bad luck. When young merfolk sneak too close to haunted trenches, she whispers protective verses taught by these scrolls. Tie 3 bubbles, spin in place, let fear drift with the foam. No one knows how many disasters her quiet learning has undone, but reef folk say whole shipwrecks vanish from prophecy because Ariel filed the right parchment on the right shelf at just the right moment. 3. The necklace. Tide bonded from Tafiti. Across half the world, dawn breaks over Matunui, an island ringed with jade shallows and crowned by swaying palms. Beneath those palms stands Moana, voyager and wayfinder, bearer of a necklace unlike any other. Crafted from blacklit mother of pearl, its pendant holds a spiral fragment said to have chipped off Tefiti herself when the goddess of creation first shaped the isles. Island legend teaches that the spiral thrums in time with the beating heart of the ocean. When Moana was a child, the necklace felt warm whenever she followed tide pools, guiding her tiny steps away from sharp coral toward shiny cowries or shy baby turtles in need of rescue. At night, it cooled to a soothing hush, as if lulling her to rest. During storms, it pulsed, 2 steady beats, then 1 slow, mirroring crash, crash, hush of incoming waves. Grandma Tala called this rhythm the lullaby of Tefiti and claimed that listening to it could reveal whether tomorrow's tide would bring driftwood, dolphins, or danger. Once, on the eve of Moana's fateful journey, the necklace glowed seawater green, throwing ripples of light across her hut's walls. The ocean itself reared up in greeting, allowing her to walk dry-footed across its surface, a blessing seldom granted to mortals. Though Moana eventually restored Tefiti's heart, the necklace remains tide-bonded. When she voyages now, far from Motunui's reef, the pendant acts like a compass, its spiral warming in the direction of safe harbors or distant kin. Islanders claim it even hums when 2 starpath navigators unknowingly sail toward each other, weaving fates across leagues of dark water. 4. Starpath navigators, living constellations, before compasses, before sextants, before the glow of lighthouse torches, Polynesian voyagers read the sky like a woven mat of stories. These starpath navigators memorized the rise and set of hundreds of stars, noting how each glimmer aligned with swelling currents, drifting seaweed, migrating birds. They understood that the heavens did not merely hang overhead, they echoed in the water below. Some nights, when the moon hid her face, the sea mirrored every star so precisely that canoe hulls seemed to glide through galaxies. Navigators called this Tilagi Atamai, the knowing sky, believing that if they sailed with pure purpose, constellations would literally descend, becoming luminous fish or silver streaks in their wake, pointing onward. Moana learned these ways first from her grandmother's dances, then from an ancient cave of beached canoes, and finally from the ocean itself. On her quest, she watched star patterns twist, realign, and sometimes fade, as though living constellations were rewriting themselves to account for her presence. Scholars on distant shores later chronicled that during the era of her voyage, 3 familiar southern stars, Tain's spear, burned half a magnitude brighter. Astronomers puzzled, yet islanders smiled, murmuring that the heavens brighten when a wayfinder's heart beats in perfect rhythm with the sea. Today, when Moana mentors new navigators, she teaches them to look not just upward but inward. The stars will shift, she tells them, but your heartbeat can still point true. And somewhere on moonless nights, the ocean replies by lifting dimly glowing swirls, like star maps traced in phosphorescence across dark waves. 5. Sunken ruins of early sea princesses. Beneath layers of silt and the quiet of centuries lie the foundations of the first coral thrones, ruins older than Ariel's kingdom, older even than Tefiti's spiral stone. Folklore speaks of Neocoralia and Soraya, princesses from an age when the sea still experimented with form, sometimes rising as spires of glass, sometimes sinking into whirlpools that open like doors to deeper realms. These early rulers forged alliances with tide dragons and kept journals in ink produced by moon jelly stings. Their palaces now sleep in fragments, an archway swallowed by seagrass, a spiral staircase encrusted with abalone, a mosaic floor showing moon phases that once powered a tide altar. Ariel's coral library possesses only a handful of scroll references to these ruins. Beware the vault of endless echoes. Seek the silver maw only during fever tides. Moana too has heard whispers, Fishermen speak of a temple whose roofline stands just under the lowest low tide, revealing statues of stone-skinned merfolk lifting spiral shells toward sunrise. Treasure hunters chase these tales, but the ocean guards her oldest memories. Legends warn that greed disturbs the sea curse's currents. Not nets, coral splinters hulls, stormbirds circle overhead, releasing piercing cries that call lightning. Yet for seekers bearing respect, the ruins can gift rare marvels: pearls that absorb nightmares, kelp scrolls that map dormant volcanoes, crystals that sing of moonquakes and whale songs. Both Ariel and Moana dream of visiting together one day, not to plunder, but to record stories before time erases them forever. 6. The Stormbird's Sea Curses. High above cresting waves glide creatures half bird, half storm cloud. Vast wings striped midnight gray, eyes pale as lightning. They appear when hurricanes gather, spiraling inside thunderheads, stitching cloud to cloud with electric arcs. Old mariners once cursed their sight, blaming them for every snapped mast. In truth, the stormbirds are guardians, lightning tamers who siphon rage from the sky and carry it harmlessly over open water. When Ariel sings their ancient call, the stormbirds wheel closer, sensing her plea. Their wing beats scatter charged droplets that hiss upon contact with salt. Thunder softens. Lightning veers into empty sea lanes. A path opens long enough for desperate vessels to limp home. Many sailors never learn the source of their salvation, but they leave offerings: coiled ropes, carved driftwood angels, tied to harbor posts in silent thanks. Yet storms birthed by malice or greed brew, sea curses beyond the stormbird's power. These curses twist currents, lure ships onto living reefs, unravel star paths until constellations seem to chase themselves. Such magic often awakens when treasure hunters pry pearls from sleeping clams or nets choke dolphins. Moana once confronted a sea curse swirling around an upended cargo galley. She spoke to the water, offering the necklace's glow as a promise of respect. The currents stilled, and the ship's shattered hull sank gently, its gold spilling into sand as fish sanctuaries rather than human coffers. Island elders say the ocean smiled that day, her surface smoothing like calmed breathing. 7. A Meeting of Tides. There is a legend, half lullaby, half prophecy, that one evening every century the Coral Library and Matunui's shore share the same moonbeam. For a heartbeat, land and sea overlap, forming a causeway of silver light. On that night, it is told, Ariel will stride barefoot upon shimmering water, while Moana sails a canoe that glides as easily through air as sea. Where they meet, they will trade gifts: a scroll of unbroken whale song and a starpath shell etched with every island's story. The exchange will birth a new school of navigators, children who can read kelp knots like runes and lull storms with lullabies. Perhaps that night has not yet come. Perhaps it already passed once, invisible to all but lanternfish and moon crabs. Either way, the ocean keeps the corridor of possibility open, waiting for the moment waves and wind agree to braid destinies again. A soft return to shore. Now, gentle listener, feel your thoughts float like driftwood on a quiet lagoon. The sentient sea murmurs lullabies beneath your dreams, promising that currents will cradle you till dawn. Imagine Ariel adding one last scroll to shelves of glowing coral, lanternfish dimming their lights. Picture Moana resting beneath swaying palms, necklace spiral pulsing with steady hush. Crash, crash, hush, your own heartbeat sinking with the tide. Stormbirds glide toward a far horizon, stars fold into the liquid mirror of night, and the ruins of early princesses exhale barnacle-fragrant secrets, content to slumber. Let the ocean's living pulse envelop you, rocking you gently, ever so gently, until the next chapter's breeze lifts your sails deeper into story-soaked sleep. Chapter 4. Forest spirits, hidden valleys. Fold yourself into a quiet breath and let green shadows gather. The forest at night is neither lonely nor dark. It is a cathedral of hushed heartbeats, stitched together by moss and moonbeams. Leaves murmur like distant lullabies, roots cradle secrets older than the moon, and somewhere beyond the next fern-soft bend, spirits lean close, ready to guide, to guard, to remember. Tonight, we wander 4 nature-bound realms, those of Pocahontas, Merida, Rapunzel, and Snow White, glimpsing the hidden allies and circular magics that keep their stories evergreen. 1. The whispering tree of Grandmother Willow. On the banks of a river that curves like a sleeping snake through untamed woodland stands Grandmother Willow, a towering tree whose bark folds into smiling eyes and whose branches rustle with wisdom thick as summer honey. Long before settlers' oars broke the mirrored water, the forest spirits crowned her keeper of the voices. She drinks every tale the wind delivers. Hawk cries of thunderstorm flight paths, frog songs predicting rain, even the shy sighs of stones settling deeper into soil. Each story swirls through her rings, turning wood grain into living script. Pocahontas visits often, laying her palm against the trunk to read those shifting rings. With each throb of sap beneath bark, visions bloom behind her eyes, the ghost of a deer leaping across moonlight. Canoe wakes trailing prophecy, corn sprouts braided with laughter still unborn. Grandmother Willow answers in tones like flutes woven from twilight, guidance half spoken, half sung. Listen to your heart, she murmurs, but the phrase means more than simple feeling. Heartbeat, she teaches, is a drum that echoes the forest's own pulse. When Pocahontas aligns her choices to that rhythm, paths open silently, like petals at dawn. Some nights, fireflies gather around the willow's lowest boughs. Their glow lines form shifting pictographs, arrows, paddles, swirling water. Elders say these light glyphs are travel maps for birds migrating under stars, but also for dreamers deciding whether to sail beyond the known. Any traveler who studies the flicker script with respect earns safe passage through the forest's winding rivers and tangled emotions. 2. Rapunzel's flower memory, woven gold. Far to the west rises a lone tower once hidden by fear but now bathed in freedom's light. Around its base sprouts golden flora, descendants of the sun-drop blossom that healed a queen, lengthened Rapunzel's hair, and softened a hardened heart. Most know the flower for its healing radiance, yet its petals carry another gift: memory weaving. Each filament of gold stores a moment. Laughter echoing off stone, a song hummed over paint-splashed walls, the hush after a first sky lantern's ascent. When morning dew beads along the petals, those memories refract outward as shimmering threads, drifting across the glen to etch gentle echoes onto surrounding leaves. Step under the vines at dawn and you might hear distant lullabies, catch the scent of birthday cakes never tasted, or recall a childhood face you feared you'd forgotten. The flower does not steal memories. It polishes them, ensuring they glint bright even as years gather moss. Rapunzel weaves fallen petals into tiny dream catchers which she gifts to wandering fawns, hedgehogs, even passing foxes. These dream catchers hang in burrows and nests, glowing faintly at night, turning nightmares into soft stories that fade with daylight. Woodland creatures then carry renewed calm through the forest, rippling peace outward like concentric rings on still water. In this way, the tower's clearing has become a sanctuary where fear unravels and is rewoven into courage. 3. Will-o'-the-wisps of Merida's Highland Vale. Travel north, where heather cloaks hills in purple haze and low clouds kiss ancient stones. Here flicker the will-o'-the-wisps, azure flames no bigger than thistles, dancing mischievously just out of reach. Highlanders swear they are the souls of maidens lost to time. Druids claim they are sparks shed by fallen stars. Children simply call them blue fairies. Whatever their origin, they care deeply for fate's winding threads. They appear to those who straddle crossroads of destiny, a hunter torn between tradition and mercy, a healer debating whether to brew a risky potion, a princess weighing duty against the fierce beat of her untamed heart. For Merida, the wisps glowed brightest the night she loosed an arrow into the unknown, scattering expectation like startled grouse. She followed the lights through mossy arches, down ravines veiled in fog, until they circled a forgotten circle of standing stones, a hinge between choice and consequence. Modern travelers still recount encounters. A shepherd chasing a lost lamb, spies cobalt flickers leading to both you and hidden herbal patch that saves his ailing child. A poet grieving at a grave sees wisps dance into letters across water, shaping verses that heal his sorrow. But heed every tale's caution. Follow with respect. Those who chase out of greed find the lights vanish, leaving them tangled in thorns where owl eyes watch in stern silence. 4. The stag of night and the glades. He guards. When dusk drapes a velvet shawl over forest canopies, a silhouette the color of new moon shadow steps from tree to tree, the stag of night. Antlers vast as branching constellations, hooves leaving crescents of starlight in moss. He watches over Elderglade, a secret meadow where every plant exists in first bloom, untouched by decay. Legends claim Elderglade was the cradle from which all forest seedlings sprung, tended by star spirits before time sprouted seasons. Snow White encountered the stag only once, during the hush between poison bite and glass coffin. In a fever dream, she wandered into a midnight clearing rimmed by glowing fungi. The stag knelt, nose touching her brow, and in that moment her weary heart felt steadier, neither alive nor dead, but held. He breathed silver breath that stilled her fear, leaving the silent promise that life's cycle could bend, but never truly break. Those fortunate enough to glimpse the stag must bow, for he bears the accumulated grace of every creature who ever sought the forest refuge. Hunters who draw arrow to string while beholding him feel their wrists tremble, arrows falling harmlessly at their feet. Lumberjacks scouting new cutting grounds report sudden loss of path sense until they vow to plant more trees than they fell. It is whispered that the stag's gaze can rewind a single mistake, turning felled sapling into upright sprout, spilt blood into unbroken pulse. Though this mercy costs a night of forgotten sleep, paid back to the forest as dream laughter that fertilizes soil. 5. Forbidden forests, where time flows in circles. Every realm holds a border wood, where stepping off the trail tilts you into wonder. In these forbidden forests, time coils like ivy around itself, minutes looping, hours unspooling backward, yesterday's blooming tomorrow. Paths shift beneath feet. Twilight might follow dawn, or leaves may reverse from brown to green as you watch. One such wood lies between Rapunzel's kingdom and Snow White's mountains. Locals call it Silver Spiral. Enter at noon, and by the first bend, morning dew returns to leaves. Reach a brook and see ripples drift upstream. Push deeper, and you may find your childhood self carving initials into bark, unaware of your adult gaze. But the forest teaches through reflection, not entrapment. If you touch that younger hand with loving acceptance rather than regret, the loops open, guiding you back to present self, wiser, lighter. Pocahontas recounts a legend of Turnwater Grove where salmon swim in reverse under aurora skies. Travelers stumbling into the grove emerge to discover a single evening has passed, even if they felt years wandering. Many return with songs lost to ancestors long dead, gifts for healing family wounds. The wisps sometimes guard these borders, ensuring only hearts ready for reflection brave the dreamlike twist of time. Highland folklore warns that arrogance becomes circular hunger here. Boastful hunters chasing deer may end up pursuing their own footprints forever. Yet those who enter seeking understanding often witness memories mending, words unspoken, finally uttered, choices unmade, made whole. When they emerge, the forest marks their growth with a silver streak in their hair, a moonfleck in their iris, or simply the hush of new patience woven into breath. 6. Animal guides. Silent choirs. Forests speak not only through spirits, but through creatures that carry quiet sagas in fur, feather, and scale. Pocahontas runs with a raccoon whose paws know which berries coax laughter and which bark soothes burns. Merida's black stallion, Angus, senses tremors of approaching storm long before clouds muster, directing her toward caves where echoes foretell arrows' true flight. Rapunzel braids stories into Pascal the chameleon's shifting hues, each color a code of hope for children who stumble upon him in grass. Snow White's retinue, deer, bluebird, even wary chipmunk, form a silent choir that escorts brides and newborns along safe routes through thorny undergrowth. These animal guides respect unspoken law. They assist only those who greet the world with kindness first. Offer seed to a sparrow, and that sparrow might tap on your window the next morning, beckoning you from nightmare's edge into dawn's calm. Share campfire warmth with a shivering wolf cub, and years later a grown alpha may form a sentinel wall between you and encroaching darkness. A lantern's glow toward dream. The forest is still now, saving breath for you. Grandmother Willow's branches sway like gentle rocking. Golden petals fold around half-remembered lullabies. Blue wisps dim to firefly flickers. The stag of night drinks from a pool reflecting constellations both old and newly born. Time's spiral loosens just enough for sleep to slip through. Imagine moss beneath bare feet, cool, forgiving. Hear distant owl calls counting the beats of your heart. Warm animal fur brushes your side, then settles as weightless reassurance. Overhead, canopy parts to reveal a single star, perhaps caught in antlers, perhaps mirrored in river. Steady, patient, promising that morning waits but will not hurry. Let the scent of pine and rain-soaked earth soothe your thoughts. Allow loops of memory, hopes, and quiet guidance to cradle you the way vine lattice cradles sundrop blossoms. Inhale one last lungful of evergreen hush. Exhale every tangle. The forest spirits stand watch. The hidden valleys keep your secrets. Time circles softly until even worry forgets its own name. Drift deeper, dreamer, for the next chapter lies just beyond the hush of leaves. Chapter 5. Snow Realms and Crystal Thrones. Gather a slow breath and let it mist into winter hush. Feel mountain air graze your skin like silken frost, tingling yet gentle, promising wonder rather than chill. Above us rise peaks so pale they appear carved from moonlight. In the valleys sleep glaciers humming with memories, and upon a windswept ridge stands a palace of living ice whose walls sing soft lullabies when the northern lights glide across them. This is the realm of sisters Elsa and Anna, keepers of winter's legacy, and proof that frost and warmth can share one heartbeat. 1. A comet of elemental origin. Long before Arendelle's first stone tower, before fjords cleaved the land into mirrored blues, the night sky split with a blazing streak. Villagers later named it Skjer, the shard star. Scholars claimed it was a comet, but shamans felt it breathed like a wild creature. Its tail shimmered in 4 hues: crimson, emerald, golden, and ice blue, trailing across heavens for 13 nights. On the final night, a sliver of the comet sheared away, falling like a glowing snowflake onto the tallest peak of the northern range. The impact did not roar, it exhaled, a sigh of snow swirling upward rather than smoke drifting down. Where the fragment rested, frost crystals blossomed in patterns too intricate for human art, forming spirals that pulsed as if alive. Mountain goats that wandered near found their horns glazing over with harmless rime, and yet they felt no cold. Instead, they carried away an echo of calm that soothed predators, calming even hungry wolves at the scent of that frost. Generations later, villagers noted that children born on the comet's anniversary displayed tiny quirks, a toddler who could still water into diamond dust for a heartbeat, a shepherd boy whose footprints left delicate hoarfrost that melted seconds after. Most powers flickered out by adolescence, save one lineage. In a modest cottage overlooking the fjord lived a girl whose lullabies summoned snow flurries which danced in grateful spirals around her cradle. She became the first recorded ancestor of Arendelle's royal family. 2. The Hidden Chronicle of Arendelle's Crown. Official histories speak of courageous kings, wise queens, and merchant treaties sealed beneath chandeliered halls. Yet buried beneath the castle library, behind a shelf of ship logs, rests the frost-bound chronicle, a leather tome bound with silver thread. Its pages flake like pressed snowflakes, and writing appears only under winter moonlight. There, royal scribes recorded a truth kept secret to protect both kingdom and crown. Each generation produced one child who carried the comet's sliver woven deep within their spirit. Most received a dormant ember, an empathy for winter storms, an affinity for crystal art. But rarely, the ember burst into full flame of ice magic. Records whisper of Queen Runhide, who sculpted a palace balustrade from sleet to save her people during a summer drought, the ice reflecting sunbeams into crops, preserving them from scorch. Or Prince Kaj, whose breath calmed avalanche clouds before they roared down valley slopes. Nonetheless, wielders felt conflict, power both isolated and needed. The chronicle states a prophecy: when the shard's melody renews in two hearts, one of frost, one of flame, the mountain shall reveal its living crown. For centuries, scribes puzzled over flame, believing it literal fire. Only when Anna's unshakable warmth resurrected a frozen sister did old advisors, teary-eyed beside thawed fountains, realize that flame could be laughter, courage, unbreakable love. 3. The snow nymph who froze a sun. Legends from further north tell of Lysandria, a snow nymph born from the first breath of polar dawn. She wielded frost so potent that even daylight dimmed at her passing. When a reckless sun spirit once dipped too low, scorching tundra blossoms into ash. Lysandria rose into the sky and wove a veil of ice lace across the sun's face. For 7 heartbeats, daylight paled to pearl, giving ravaged petals a chance to drink the cool and live again. Then, with a graceful bow, she folded her veil, and light warmed the earth once more, gentler, wiser. Arendelle storytellers claim that Lysandria's veil frayed as she descended, trailing filaments of eternal ice that drifted on high winds until they nestled into the comet shard resting upon the mountain. Those filaments, they say, are what shape Elsa's gift. Ice that gleams without harshness, designs that flow like lace, beauty threaded with mercy. When Elsa conjures snowflakes shaped like fragile stars, some see echoes of Lysandria's veil, frozen sunlight made tender. 4. Ice castles with minds of their own. Not all castles sit mute upon stone foundations. In lonely passes echoing with wind's howl, stand ice palaces that awaken at moonrise, unplanned temples sculpted by elemental will. Travelers speak of translucent corridors blooming overnight, staircases forming mid-air then unfurling like ribbons to greet wandering owls. These structures respond to mood rather than map. A curious heart sees doorways arch open, while a fearful spirit finds walls smoothing over, guiding them gently back to safety. Elsa's Crystal Palace is the most famous, born from a storm of emotion, Loneliness, relief, exhilaration, yet the palace echoed her growth. Early walls formed sharp pinnacles, proud yet defensive. In later visits, floors retextured to softer curves, windows widened to admit aurora colors, and a private balcony extended itself just enough for two sisters to watch shooting stars. Some nights, when Elsa's duties keep her in Arendelle, the palace hums, sending flurries westward like carrier doves, a snowy reassurance. All is well. Dwarven miners once sought to chip shards for profit, but their chisels snapped silently, as if the palace knew their intent. However, when a lost child stumbled into a blizzard, the castle cast prisms of blue ahead of her, lighting a warm tunnel that led to a woodcutter's hut. In gratitude, the royal family taught miners to carve respectful souvenirs from mountain ice instead, leaving the sentient castles undisturbed. 5. Anna's warmth. Magic without frost. Magic need not glitter to be mighty. Anna's gift is warmth, so wholehearted that frozen gates unbar at her knock. As children, Elsa's snowbursts danced wildly. Anna answered with laughter that shaped snowmen into jovial friends. During coronation chaos, her steadfast trust thawed a kingdom faster than midday sun. Court scholars later noted subtle phenomena around Anna. Frost-dulled roses revived when she hummed lullabies near them. Hearth fires leapt brighter at her entrance. Infants fussing in midwinter cribs quieted when she held their hands. Grand Pabby, elder of the trolls, once described her power as a hearthstone for wandering stars. In other words, Anna's warmth offers orientation to any force spinning cold and alone. When Elsa's storms lost direction, Anna's hug rewrote their compass. When wandering Northuldra spirits glimpsed her courage, they opened ancient dam paths willingly. This balance completes the prophecy. Frost and flame in sisterly accord, awakening the mountain's living crown. Not a jewel, but a moment of harmony when glacier winds swirl like ballet dancers and fjord waters steam in gentle mist, forming a rainbow visible only during their embrace. 6. Midnight myths on frost glass windows. Arendelle castle windows hold secret etchings visible solely at the stroke between one day ending and the next sigh beginning. These frost glass panes, fashioned from comet-kissed sand, reflect stories rather than scenery once midnight chimes. On Elsa's birthday, panes showed a comet streaking across fjord skies, tail shimmering frost blue. On Anna's engagement eve, glass blossomed with swirling hearts lined in embers of pink dawn. Children claim that if you press your forehead to the window when snow falls, faint melodies murmur, echoing lullabies Queen Iduna once sang. During the sisters' darkest hour, when warmth seemed forever stilled, every pane frosted over with silent silhouettes, two figures reaching across an abyss. Courtiers thought the castle merely froze. Yet in hindsight, the images were prophecy. One silhouette cloaked in spiral snow, the other glowing soft gold, meeting halfway, dissolving the abyss into blooming ice roses. 7. Mountain spirits and the echoing pass. North of the palace rises Otenshaw Peak, birthplace of the comet shard. Guides refuse to summit. They speak of echoing pass halfway up, where voices return not in repetition but in replies. Ask who guides my path, and you might hear your kindness. Hum sorrow, and the pass answers in a major key, uplifting. Elsa once climbed there alone. At first, the voices unnerved her. Then they steadied into her mother's lullaby. She followed the melody to a cave where crystals vibrated in chord, storing songs of every snowstorm since the comet landed. She touched one gem. It lit with final notes of a lullaby unfinished during childhood. In finishing the song, she freed the echo, and the wind carried that peace down every valley, quieting blizzards for 3 serene days. Anna visited later, leaving a knit scarf at the mouth of the cave, a bright orange flourish against blue ice, as gratitude for guiding her sister. The scarf remains, unfaded by years of frost, warmth woven permanent into the mountain's story. 8. The Lantern Night of Thaw. Each first spring moon, Arendelle hosts the Lantern Night of Thaw. Citizens gather on the frozen harbor, placing candles within carved ice lanterns shaped like snowdrops. When Elsa lowers her hand, a gentle wave of frost spreads, engraving trails of lace across the ice surface while keeping lantern flames alive, a testament to coexistence of cold and glow. Next, Anna walks forward, her footsteps melting small heart-shaped holes that release quiet plumes of mist. Where cold engraves, warmth polishes, the harbor becomes a living tapestry of opposites in harmony. Elders recite the closing verse. North wind carries, south light stirs, frost writes, warmth reads. Two sisters, one story. As lanterns drift out toward open water, northern lights ripple overhead, and watchers swear they glimpse a comet tail weaving through the aurora, the past saluting the present. 9. A gentle descent into dream. Now, dear listener, settle deeper beneath your blanket, as soft as powder snow, as comforting as hearth embers. Picture Elsa standing on her balcony, snowflakes swirling playful pirouettes around her palms, yet never chilling her. Notice Anna beside her, hair loose, cheeks glowing, hands cupped around cocoa that steams sweet cinnamon into cold night. They lean together, sharing a hush where even wind quiets to listen. Frost and warmth knit an invisible shawl around them, around you. Hear distant bells of ice castles chiming friendly notes, echoing down valleys silvered by moonlight. Imagine the snow nymph gliding overhead, veil trailing delicate lace that dims harsh worry into pearly calm. See comet dust sparkling where it once fell, now embedded in glacier hearts, pulsing in time with yours. Slow, steady, safe. Breathe in winter's pure hush. Breathe out any lingering chill of thought. Let spores of snow glow drift across your eyelids, closing them gently. Feel Anna's warmth balancing Elsa's cool, making perfect twilight where sleep grows. Outside, lantern nightlights glide across fjord waters until they blur into star reflections. Inside, your heartbeat steadies, like soft footfalls on freshly fallen snow. Dream of ice castles welcoming you with gates grown from crystals shaped to your name. Dream of comet tails writing lullabies across dark sky. Of sisters' laughter echoing warm within marble halls, of reindeer prints leading you to cocoa fires. Above all, know that in this realm, frost never bites without reason. Warmth never fades without return, and both wait patiently to cradle you until morning's first gold blush. Chapter 6: Lost Magic, Forgotten Artifacts. Settle further beneath your quilt of quiet and imagine walking through a vast moonlit attic where every trunk is etched in old runes, every shelf dusted with memory. Cobwebs drift like gossamer star threads, and when you glide a fingertip across them, each strand hums a different lullaby. Here, in this attic of forgotten wonders, rest artifacts so steeped in enchantment that they obey rules wiser than any kingdom's law. Tonight, we lift velvet covers and open cedar crates to glimpse 5 treasures whose stories ripple softly across all realms. A mirrored oracle, a spindle bound to fate, lanterns that listen to wishes, shoes that hold dances like diaries, and books that unfold only to kind hearts. Touch nothing in greed, and every relic will reveal a secret meant to cradle you toward sleep. 1. The Mirror with 1,000 Names. Mirrors exist in more forms than silvered glass. In some forests, still ponds shimmer with answers. In distant deserts, moonlit obsidian offers truths if watered with hope. Yet the most storied reflection is the inquiry glass, called Magic Mirror in Snow White's realm, Truth Water by dwarven alchemists, and simply the listening frost among northern shamans. Legends agree on 2 rules. It shows not the future, but the present, wrapped in ego. Its form changes to match the seeker's courage. When Snow White's step queen demanded flattery, the mirror grew tall, cold, and merciless, surface rippling with crackling frost lines that resembled serpents swallowing their tails. But when Snow White later stood before its shards, asking only whether her loved ones were safe, the fragments gathered themselves into a circle of warm silver fog, showing gentle images that guided her home. Hidden chronicles mention smaller incarnations. A hand mirror once given to Tiana, its glass swirling like river water, revealing which menu dish would lift a weary patron's soul. A polished shield carried by Mulan, edges aflame, reflecting not invaders but the courage of troops behind her. Wherever kindness frames the question, the mirror softens, offering clarity rather than condemnation. Many scholars wondered where the mirror first learned to speak. The oldest tale says that eons ago a falling star splintered on mountaintop ice. One shard melted into water, another fused into glass, and a third drifted as diamond vapor. All three forms held the same starlight hum, the wish to illuminate hidden hearts. Ever since, the mirror wanders the realms, taking whichever body best suits the lesson at hand. 2. The spinning wheel. The silver thread of fate. Deep within Castle Everdawn's sealed vault rests a single spindle carved from moon cedar, its tip capped in dull iron and wrapped in ribbon the color of dawn's first blush. This is the spindle that once pricked Princess Aurora, binding her to enchanted slumber. Yet the spindle itself is not cruel. It obeys an ancient dictate older than curses. Thread shall pause the world until balance is restored. A forgotten woodworker forged the wheel centuries before the christening. He wove a tiny balancing enchantment into each spoke. Pause, breathe, mend. The enchantment remained dormant until malice tampered with it. When the dark fairy twisted the spell, she forced the spindle to substitute sleep for pause, fear for breathe, and thirst for revenge for mend. Thus, when Aurora's fingertip met the iron barb, time folded around her like a cocoon, waiting for a single drop of pure love to rethread the balance. After Prince Philip's kiss unwound the curse, archivists examined the wheel and discovered fine runes along the rim, glowing faint pearl. Translated, they read, "Threads fray when spun from spite, reweave with grace, and dawn shall rise anew." Respecting this wisdom, the royal family preserved the spindle not as a weapon, but as a reminder that any tool, quill, wand, or word, can sow darkness if guided by bitterness, yet can just as readily mend the tapestry when guided by light. Each midsummer, castle artisans spin a single silken thread upon the wheel, one for forgiveness, one for hope, one for curiosity, and so on. These threads are tucked into pillow sachets for newborns across the kingdom, a gentle pledge that even while they dream, the world stitches love around them. 3. Lanterns that listen to wishes. Every year on Rapunzel's birthday, 1,000 lanterns ascend the twilight like golden carp drifting upstream. Most watchers believe the Festival of Lanterns remembers a lost princess. Fewer know its older, hidden purpose: to ferry wishes to the watchful sky, where dormant stars catch them, warming faint embers back into flame. Long ago, the realm's astronomers noticed sleeping stars, points of light dimmed by forgotten hopes. A sage discovered that fire combined with heartbeat-strong longing could rekindle those lights. Thus was born the lantern ritual. Each lantern contains 3 ingredients: beeswax mixed with sundrop flower dust for resilience, river reed paper soaked in moon water for buoyancy, and a single breath from the wisher. That breath is the spell's core. It carries a morsel of desire upward, reminding the star why it ever glowed. When Rapunzel returned, her first lantern carried gratitude so profound that several sleeping stars awakened at once, forming a new constellation, the Helios Braid. 12 points woven into spiral. Sailors now guide by its twist, telling time by the flicker of its ribbons. Lantern makers claim that if you concentrate on the braid while releasing a lantern, its flame leans gently in your direction, promising that the cosmos heard. Scholars have tried replicating the rite indoors, but enclosed ceilings dampen the wish currents. Only open horizon, riverbank, sea deck, meadow invite sky to bend low. People of less lantern-rich lands improvise with floating candles on ponds or glimmer kites in mountain winds. Their wishes, too, find altitude, proof that intention glides on invisible thermals when carried by kindness. 4. Shoes that remember every dance. In a hush-bright wing of Cinderella's palace sits a translucent cabinet named the Theorium, its glass panes etched with swirling vines. Inside rest dozens of enchanted shoes. Not all glass, yet every pair bonded to a dancer's echo. Some sparkle like dew, others shimmer like champagne silk, others appear ordinary until moonlight reveals a waltz-weave glow along their soles. A subtle binding spell lives within each heel. Footfalls strike more than floor. They strike time, capturing rhythm as memory. When Cinderella first spun across marble in her glass slippers, the shoes imprinted each swirl of her joy and each tremor of midnight worry. Today, if she slides them on and stands within a sunbeam, phantom violins breathe faintly, replaying the exact melody of that grand evening. On days when doubt whispers that wonder was a one-night dream, a single twirl in the slippers proves the dream's endurance. Royal dance masters borrow other pairs to teach technique. Students find their muscles adapting to choreography stored in the shoes. They twirl and suddenly know steps from festivals centuries past. Folk reels, high court minuets, harvest jigs. The spell never forces. It reminds like a kindly elder guiding posture with gentle palms. After practice, shoes rest warm, content with new memories layered atop old. Rumor tells of a traveling bard who once traded a song for permission to wear twilight blue slippers that remembered no dance. He ushered them across empty courtyard stones, humming soft improvisations. At sunrise, noblewomen passing by heard faint echoes of his ballad swirling around their ankles. The shoes had recorded sound this time, proving they can learn beyond dance when offered something as graceful as melody. 5. Books that only open to kindness. Deep in the beast's formerly cursed library sits a shelf that refuses dust. 10 leather-bound volumes, spines embossed in soft gold script. They are the codices of Cordis, the heart scripts. Each tome bears no lock, yet cannot be pried apart by force. Only a palm resting gently on the cover, while the reader thinks a selfless thought, will coax the pages loose with a contented sigh. Chapter headings rearrange themselves to suit the seeker's need. A lonely soul might find companionship in quiet gardens. A grieving parent might open to lullabies older than sorrow. Words inside shimmer like candlelight on velvet and change ink color when read aloud. Silver for wisdom, rose for comfort, azure for courage. Once finished, pages flutter shut, awaiting the next seeker. Belle discovered the books after the castle thawed from enchantment. One evening she worried about how to nurture villagers' curiosity without overwhelming them. Placing her hand on the first codex, she silently wished for guidance. The book opened to a tale of a traveling storyteller who left blank parchment in taverns, inviting locals to add their own legends. Belle adopted the custom, and soon nearby villages overflowed with shared stories, each fueling empathy across farm and forge. People occasionally attempt to burglarize the codices for profit. Such thieves report the books feeling strangely heavy, growing impossible to lift until fingers ache and motives shift. More than one would-be rogue awakened sprawled on library rugs, morning sunlight warming their cheeks, memory hazy, but heart cradling a new humility. 6. A comb of ocean moon pearl. Tucked into Ariel's coral study sits a hair comb sculpted from moon pearl, its teeth tipped with tiny opals. It hums when brushed through damp locks, leaving trails of soft song that coax seaweed to braid itself and coax memories of far-off beaches to rustle like distant surf. Merfolk say it was crafted by a tide goddess who combed the ocean's wild tresses each equinox, calming tempests into sleepy swells. Any land dweller who uses the comb hears, in the lull of bristles through hair, faint echoes of whale lullabies or distant ship bells, guiding them to listen more deeply to the world's quiet languages. Although this comb rarely leaves Atlantica, its twin may lie forgotten on some shore, waiting for a gentle hand willing to brush in time with the ocean's heart. 7. Rules of the Relics. The Whispered Promise. Across all enchanted items whispers one unifying law. Magic mirrors motive, magnifying whatever lives inside the seeker's spirit. The wheel answers balance with pause. The lantern answers hope with flame. The shoes answer joy with rhythm. The book answers empathy with story. The comb answers curiosity with song. Hold any of these in greed, and you'll meet resistance, a mirror of self that urges pause, reflection, change. Forest sages teach new apprentices a lullaby listing the relic rules. Mirror mild, reflect the soul wheel of breath, restore the whole lantern bright. Lift wish to sky dancing shoe, let echoes fly book of heart. Unlock with grace pearl comb, sing the ocean's pace. Children chant the song during twilight chores, embedding respect deep within muscle memory, so when they one day cross paths with artifact or lesser marvel, a wind chime that calms storms, a paintbrush that heals cracks, they recognize how to greet wonder as friend, not conquest. 8. Drifting toward dreams next door. Now, gentle listener, imagine returning each relic to its resting place. Mirror wrapped in linen of gentleness, spindle pillow soft in its velvet nest, lantern flame flickering upward like a hush of thank yous, shoes sliding onto padded shelf, whispering last chord of a waltz, book spine closing with contented exhale, comb nestling amid coral lull. The attic of forgotten artifacts dims. Firefly motes drift from rafters, settling into your thoughts like quiet punctuation. Outside, night's wind promises that magic cares less about wands and crowns than about the small, steady kindnesses of a seeking heart. Feel your breath repeat lantern rhythm. Draw in, release wish. Draw in, release wish. Steps soften, shelves fade, and you find yourself back beneath your blanket. Perhaps your pillow feels a hint lighter, like spun thread freed from heavy spell. Perhaps your toes remember a dance never danced, or your mind turns a page of self-patience you hadn't read before. Let those echoes cradle you. Between one heartbeat and the next, the attic door slips closed, holding its treasures safe until dawn or until your next dream-bound visit. Your path now tilts gently toward deeper rest. Stars outside shimmer like tiny mirrors, reflecting the quiet courage inside you. Lanterns of distant wishboats glimmer across imaginary rivers, guiding you further into hush. And somewhere, books of kindness keep their pages ajar, waiting only for your next whisper of grace. Drift on, dear dreamer, toward Chapter 7's gentle guardians and shapeshifters, carried by memories of relics that sing only for hearts like yours. Chapter 7. Beasts, Guardians, Shapeshifters. Slip farther into hush and feel the ground beneath you change. Soft moss becoming feather-light cloud, candle glow becoming moonlit scales. Across the princess realms roam creatures woven from legend and loyalty. Dragons who breathe mist instead of flame. Tigers who guard hearts as fiercely as thrones. Bears whose roars carry clan memories. And birds who ferry hush-bright dreams between sleeping souls. Tonight we walk beside them, listening to their silent vows and the lullabies thumping in their enormous hearts. Let their footfalls, wing beats, and rippling laughter rock you toward deeper rest. 1. Mushu, the guardian spirits of honor. Beyond rice green paddies and crimson temple gates lies a stone shrine where tiny carved dragons coil up each pillar. When dawn filters through incense smoke, the carvings shimmer, and one slips free. 2 talons tall, scales the color of ember's last gleam. Mushu bows, cracks a joke, and then stands sentinel over Mulan's destiny. Though small, Mushu channels the dragon of the east wind, a cosmic guardian who measures deeds by courage rather than size. Whenever a new warrior lights joss sticks before marching to unknown battles, sparks drift skyward and awaken an invisible choir. Guardian spirits of honor. Some appear as iridescent carp leaping through clouds, others as lion dogs pacing palace rooftops. Mushu, fiery sprite that he is, hustles between them, translating grand cosmic edicts into everyday pep talks. Stand up straight, kid. Honor likes a clear view. He once curled inside Mulan's helmet, whispering wind-swept tactics that helped her read shifting snowdrifts the way sailors read waves. When she doubted, Mushu's tail traced constellations in the campfire, reminding her that courage burns brighter when tempered with humor. Scholars claim that after Mulan's victory, Mushu returned each night to the shrine and told the stone dragons bedtime stories so exuberant they cracked marble into smiles. Those cracks now glow faint gold, proof that even monuments break into laughter under the right spirit's care. Should you ever glimpse a flick of red scale in candle shadow, bow gently. Tell a truth you've hidden even from yourself. Mushu may answer with a smoky giggle, carrying your honesty to the guardian court, so they can inscribe your bravery along heaven's lintel. 2. Raya Sisu Water, dragon of a broken, healing world. Far south, the rivers of Kumandra braid through emerald jungle and bone-white sandbars until they pour into a basin shaped like a mythic lotus. There the land remembers division. Broken shards of once unified tribes, each piece named after a dragon's spine, tail, talon, or fang. Amid those fragments rose Rhea, lone rider of a faithful pillbug steed, and Sisu, the last water dragon, body shimmering lilac, whiskers trailing comets of stardust blue rain. Sisu's magic is gentleness strong enough to carve mountains. When she laughs, clouds condense into pearly beads that plink into rivers, seeding healing into water tables. Villagers downstream taste a sudden sweetness in their wells and know the dragon passed overhead in a dream. Yet Sisu's greatest power blooms when bonded to trust. Raya handed her broken gem shards one by one, choosing vulnerability over wrath, and each shard lit Sisu's scales brighter, until the dragon's full length shone like dawn spilled across tide pools. Children of reunited Kumandra now toss paper boats onto rivers each midsummer, each boat carrying a morsel of apology or hope. If the boat returns waterlogged but intact, legend says Sisu nudged it back, blessing the wish. Sometimes moonlight reveals faint paw prints on the banks, Raya's companion tuk-tuk rolling joyful circles. Other times only a shimmering fin drag swirls and a whisper, "If you trust, the water rises to meet you." Let that whisper curl around your dream tonight, promising that even shattered gems can fuse again beneath dragon-lit tides. 3. Raja Tiger of Jasmine's Golden Garden. Within Agrabah's sun-kissed palace gardens prowls Raja, a Bengal tiger with fur striped in midnight shadows and sunrise gold. He arrived as a cub, paw pads still soft, eyes bright with desert starlight. Princess Jasmine cradled him like a secret no gilded gate could cage, feeding him figs and stories of worlds beyond the bazaar. As Jasmine grew, Raja's shoulders broadened, yet he curled beside her like an oversized house cat, tail thumping in time with her heartbeat. Raja's senses stretch beyond mortal plane. On moonless nights he paces balconies, whiskers quivering at echoes of schemes whispered in alley dust. When dangers sneak through silken curtains, be they jealous viziers or poisoned words, Raja huffs, and the torches gutter, drawing guards' attention. Royal astronomers note that whenever Raja roars, constellations above the palace seem to shift, tiger star blinking thrice as though winking in approval. Yet his protection is more than ferocity. He teaches Jasmine to measure trust by scent of sincerity, to leap only when conviction galvanizes muscle and soul. Often she sits cross-legged against his flank, plotting reforms for market women and orphaned street kids. Raja rumbles like distant thunder, agreement. He is compass, gatekeeper, and purring pillow. Should any child wander the menagerie after dark, Raja herds them gently back to safe hallways, pressing a stripy cheek to their small palms, so they remember courage can be both soft and mighty. 4. The Bear Kings of Dunbroch. In Merida's highlands, mist tangles with heather and pine until shapes blur into myth. There, tales echo of 3 bear kings, William, Artair, and Sean, chieftains who ingested a potion seeking feral strength for war, only to find transformation stitching lesson deeper than muscle. As bears, they roamed forest glens, discovering that brute force falters where harmony thrives. Their furry forms eventually faded into starlight, but their spirits linger in every Bruin paw print pressed into mud along Dunbroch streams. Highland folk leave carved wooden tokens, tiny tartan-painted bears, inside tree hollows. Come dawn, tokens vanish, replaced by acorns, shimmering river stones, or rarely, a tufty scrap of umber fur, smelling of campfire smoke and honey. Hunters lost in blizzard whiteouts sometimes feel broad, unseen shoulders shepherding them toward sheltered caves. They awaken beside stacks of berries, and an air-etched growl that sounds suspiciously like, live and learn. Merida herself once tracked an arrow deep into fog only to lose direction. Shapes loomed. Were they stones or slumbering ursine forms? Before fear could gnaw, a single warm gust circled her, smelling of pine resin and cinnamon oats from clan breakfasts. She followed that scent to safety, arrow retrieved. Later, under star wash, she played a low whistle tune. From somewhere beyond torchlight, 3 distinct huffs answered in harmony. She grinned, vowing to aim her courage toward unity, not conquest. If you dream of a bear ambling through your thoughts tonight, offer it respect. It may be one of the kings, padding silently to remind you that strength without empathy is unfinished legend. 5. Birds that carry dreams between princesses. Far above rooftops and treetops flutters an invisible postal service, the Larkwind flock, an avian guild sworn to ferry glimmers of dream from sleeper to sleeper. By day they masquerade as ordinary sparrows, jays, even cocky seagulls trailing shipwakes. But at the hush when eyelids droop, feathers fade translucent, revealing veins pulsing with pastel glow, tiny packets of dream dust collected under moon-opalescent wings. Suppose Snow White drifts into slumber beneath apple blossom fragrance, dreaming of a lullaby her mother once hummed. A Larkwind robin swoops through her dream, gathers the lullaby's lingering note, and carries it across dawn-lit clouds. Somewhere in Motunui, Moana stirs beneath swaying palm shadows. The robin releases the note into her dream lagoon, inspiring a new voyaging chant. Circle complete, song reborn, adventure kindled. The flock often partners with Rapunzel's golden flower, whose memory threads drift skyward at dawn. Birds snatch shimmering strands and weave them into nests hidden in belfry eaves or castle arches. Touch such a nest, and for one heartbeat you might recall a stranger's joyous fireworks, a tiger's velvet rumble, or the sweet ache of forgiveness blooming. Royal scribes call these dream bridges healers. Note recovery quickens in patients visited nightly by larkwind doves, blinking star flecks from their eyes. On lantern festivals, countless birds join the airborne lights, scooping embers of wishes and scattering them like seeds over distant soils. If you wake before sunrise to find a tiny feather at your windowsill, iridescent, weightless, know that some piece of your own midnight yearning reached another heart, and theirs winged back to you. 6. Shapeshifters of humble power. Not every guardian roars or glitters. Some slip between forms as effortlessly as night slips into dawn. In Tiana's bayou, Firefly Ray once burned with enough glow to guide two human hearts onto a shared path. North of Arendelle, tiny snow geese spawn from Elsa's surprised sneezes, toddling about with mischief until Anna corrals them into safe nooks. Proof that even unintended magic births guardians of giggle-stitched joy. In far deserts, chameleon Pascal shifts color to match blooming hibiscus, acting as Rapunzel's walking mood ring. When doubt creeps into her sketches, Pascal turns sunset pink, urging renewed hope. Moana's mischievous rooster Hey, though labeled simple, once swallowed a heart of Tafiti shard and kept it safe within improbable gullet until destiny reclaimed it. These small shifters remind every princess that guardianship sprouts in unassuming places, pockets of scales, feathers, shells, or silly squawks. 7. Rules, written in paw print, scale. Across these tales slumbers a simple creed. Guardians do not conquer, they accompany. Dragons glide beside trust, tigers match heartbeats, bears mirror values, birds vary empathy. They ask in return only gentle recognition. Offer a dragon water rather than gold. Scratch behind a tiger's ear rather than mounting his pelt. Bow to a bear's path rather than staking claim. Hum softly if a translucent sparrow crosses your dream sky, and it may gift you a sliver of someone else's bravest hope. Forest druids teach apprentices to recite, beast beside, scale and hide, guide my step, not my pride. Feather bright, carry light, leave me kind when I wake tonight. Children whisper the charm before campfire sleepovers, certain it summons Raja's strong bravery against nightmares, or Mushu crackling humor for long journeys. 8. Settling beneath guardian wings. Now breathe deep, feel a dragon coil around your worries, steam cool breath turning them to harmless mist. Hear a tiger purr behind your ribs, aligning each beat into steady hush. Imagine a great bear settling like living hillside against your spine, massive, reassuring. Above, a bird shivers moonlight onto your eyelids, feather touch closing them. Somewhere distant, Mushu's tinny laugh sparks against temple bells. Sisu dives through river dreams, tail painting neon ripples. Raja patrols star-strewn gardens, whisker sensing peace. Bear kings hum canyon-deep chords through highland pines. The larkwind flock loops your future lullaby into another dreamer's hope, weaving community stitched of unseen wings. Let paw, claw, and scale keep vigil while you drift. Night passes gentle when guardians roam, and dawn arrives escorted by their mellow roars, chirrups, and watery giggles. Surrender now, safe in the circle of enchanted beasts, and feel sleep shapeshift around you into the calmest form it knows. One carved from trust. Close your eyes, you are watched, warmed, and wonderfully small beneath the might of loving legends. Chapter 8. Prophecies, Dreams, Star Signs. The sky above the princess realms is never silent. Even when clouds quilt the moon, constellations hum beneath the haze, weaving chords of destiny too soft for waking ears. These stars know every cradle song, every whispered wish, every heartbeat that paused in awe when prophecy brushed its edge. Tonight we tilt our thoughts toward that infinite tapestry, listening for the lullabies stitched into comets, the secrets powdered across auroras, the promises hidden inside breath-warm dreamscapes. Let the night windows open wide, let starlight pour through like silver rain, let destiny speak, not in thunder, but in hush. 1. Tiana's dream visits from ancient queens. In New Orleans, where river mists swirl into trumpet solos and cafe lanterns blink sleepy gold, Tiana closes her restaurant each night with a ritual. Lights dimmed, tables wiped, a last gumbo simmered for tomorrow's dawn. Then she leans against the balcony rail, exhales sugar-spiced steam into the humid dark, and feels the world slip one heartbeat sideways, into dream space. That is when the queens arrive. They are monarchs of forgotten marsh kingdoms, women who once stirred lotus petal sauces over ghost-lit swamps, who held councils with moon-eyed alligator spirits, who braided crown lilies into hair still damp from conjured rain. They appear clad in moss silks, willow root bangles, and coronets sprouting Spanish moss plumes. Tiana never sees their faces fully. Instead, she senses their hands guiding hers through phantom recipes. Grind fire pepper for courage, fold magnolia pollen for grace, simmer hope until it thickens like praline glaze. Each queen bequeaths a single star-bright bead, dropping it into Tiana's apron pocket before vanishing with a sweetgrass sigh. Come morning, the beads are gone, yet their lessons remain. A new seasoning that smooths sorrow from a traveler's tongue, a pot stir that turns quarrel into quick laughter between lovers. Patrons leave with bellies warm and futures soothed, unaware an ancient queen tasted the stew first, singing prophecy beneath the cinnamon steam. 2. Aurora's starfall blessing. High above Castle Everdawn, daybreak lingers like breath held between verses. On one such dawn, long before the spinning wheel prick, Aurora lay swaddled in rose silk, the kingdom hushed for her christening. At the exact moment 3 good fairies finished their blessing, a single star untethered from the dawn rim and drifted earthward. It did not streak blazing white, it floated slowly, shedding feathers of luminescence that brushed each villager's cheek like dew. Those feathers carried whispers. May your mornings stretch gently, may your dreams rise as safely as this star descends. The star nested in the castle's highest spire, melting into a crystal no bigger than a robin's egg. Within its facets pulsed an ember the color of early sunrise, promise of awakening. Fairy lore records that this starfall gem snares nightmares drifting toward Aurora, dissolving them into sunrise pink before they reach her pillow. When she later succumbed to cursed slumber, the gem brightened to beacon white, summoning hope from woodcutters, bakers, and distant princes who felt an unnamed tug in their chests, a call to witness dawn reborn. Even now, villagers swear that if you look toward Everdawn just as first light blurs the horizon, you will see a blink of star pulse atop the tallest spire, reminder that blessing arrives not always as thunderclap, but as feathering glow. 3. Moana's dreams of islands, not yet born. Where ocean kisses sky in Kumandra blue curves, Moana sleeps aboard her voyaging canoe, sails furled to starlit hush. In that cradle of wave sway she dreams, and the sea answers. At first she sees only blank water sighing under moon, but soon silhouettes bloom, archipelagos shaped like seahorse manes, atolls curling into musical clefts, volcanic plains where rivers of bioluminescent algae sketch ancient glyphs. These islands do not exist on any map, they are futures. Each night's vision arrives with tide pulse rhythm. A small island forms in her dream, surges upward through coral skeleton, then dissolves at dawn's edge. Its message delivered. When Moana wakes, salt drying on her lashes, she charts the phantom island's star alignment, wind memory, and wave cadence. She doesn't search the sea blindly, she listens, and sometimes, weeks or seasons later, an undersea earthquake rumbles, a sandbar appears, palm seeds set root, and Moana's dream isle steps into mourning. The islanders call her Starpath Midwife. Scholars invite her to predict tectonic shifts. But she smiles, pressing palm to hull. I merely ferry dreams the ocean already writes. Children in Motunui now keep dream logs sketching seascapes from slumber. Moana reviews them at monthly Lua gatherings, weaving each child's vision into a communal atlas of possibilities yet unsurfaced. 4. Elsa's Northern Lights. That whisper fate. North of Arendelle, winter breathes a symphony, hiring the sky as orchestra conductor. Green and violet ribbons flutter overhead. Aurora, yes, but also runelight, ancient script of elemental memory. Elsa, wrapped in frost-spun cloak, stands on her balcony, fingers spread wide like splayed icicles, and listens to the crackle song overhead. Runelight is no language of letters. It is a language of intentions. A sudden streak twisting into double helix might warn of imbalance between storm and thaw. A curtain folding into heart shape might promise reunion for hearts long parted. Elsa translates by feeling. The lights tug at the shard of comet inside her, vibrate through ribcage, convert shape into sentiment. She writes notes in a ledger made of pressed snowflakes. Each page melts to blank after sunrise, memory stored within glacier veins instead of ink. During the sisters' first lantern night of thaw, runelight curved into spiral, then burst into 1,000 mini comets. Elsa felt it at Prophecy, new partnerships kindled by warm-cold harmony. Indeed, within the year, Arendellian engineers collaborated with Northuldra ice sculptors, forging windmills shaped like snowflakes that spin even in still air, harnessing breeze where none seems to exist. Sometimes runelight turns tempest red, speaking danger. Elsa then summoned snow runes, layering protective drifts around fjord villages. Fishermen wake to iced breakwaters shaped like giant snowflakes that melt as soon as storm risk passes. They thank the Ice Queen unaware she simply listened to sky's early whisper. 5. Constellations of the Princess Realms. Look west. See the Helios braid? 12 stars spiraling like Rapunzel's sunlit hair. Tilt north to find twin hearts, paired glimmers representing Anna's fire and Elsa's frost. Low on eastern horizon lies the crescent Tiger Raja's watchful prowl. Astronomers once catalogued these separately, but a wandering sage observed they link like beads on a necklace, encircling the night as a constellation of princesses. Each star cluster above a castle forms a point in a greater ring spanning hemispheres. When lantern festivals, aurora shows, and comet shards align just right, the ring ignites in soft cascade, starting with Helios braid, flowing to twin hearts, rippling through dreaming frog above New Orleans, wayfinder's oar above Motunui, dragon's curl above the imperial city, and so on, until all realms glow inside the cosmic diadem. Villagers who spot this event feel sudden hush, as if every lullaby, love vow, and laugh they've ever spoken just resonated inside mirrored chamber of the universe. Legend says that when every star in the ring pulses at identical heartbeat, the realms slip slightly closer, allowing dreams to skip like pebbles across boundaries. That is when Larkwind birds harvest lullabies from Snow White and drop them into Tiana's gumbo steam. When Pascal shifts color to match lantern gold even from kingdoms away. When Moana's phantom islands appear in Aurora's dawn dreams. It is cosmic friendship, star-forged. 6. The loom of prophecy. The gentle price. Not all fate is gift-wrapped in starlight. Sometimes prophecy carries barbed wire of fear, like Maleficent's doom spell, or the Druin petrifying Kumandra. Across the realms hides a relic called the Loom of Quiet Hours, a loom carved from petrified moonbeam whose silver threads capture nightmares before they harden into curses. Guardian fairies rotate stewardship. They weave those threads into shrouds and bury them under riverbeds where water dilutes the fear, leaving behind lessons safe to study. But the loom requires payment. Each time a nightmare is woven out, a tender dream must be woven in. Hence Tiana's visits from Queens, Aurora's sunrise gem, Moana's newborn islands, Elsa's rune-light whispers. These are dreams donated to keep the loom balanced. Destiny is neither thief nor tyrant. It is gardener, pruning overgrowth of dread by planting hope seedlings. 7. Cradled in celestial quiet. Now, dear dreamer, lie back in the hammock of your blankets. Picture Tiana's queens sprinkling dream beads across your pillow like praline crumbs of courage. Imagine feathers fallen from Aurora's star, drifting snow-soft onto your eyelids. Feel the hush-rock sway of Moana's canoe under you. Wave lull, tracking your breath. In, out, in. Hear faint crackle of rune-light overhead, spelling comfort into your pulse. Outside your window, whether city skyline or field of whispering rye, the princess constellation forms its ring, stars winking in sequence, each wink a good night from a different realm. Maybe you glimpse lullaby gator twinkling near horizon. Maybe the clouds part just enough to show Helios braid spiral. Whatever you see, know the sky knows you, has knitted a pinpoint of wonder in your name. Feel prophecy lighten from burden to blanket, draping gently over dreams. Tomorrow may carry quests and questions, but tonight, let destiny idle like a boat at mooring, rocking you. The loom hums, weaving fears into water-safe webs. Rune-light flickers final emerald note. Ancient queens rest their ladles. Dragons curl tails beneath Aurora. Your breath threads among them, a quiet star flame in vast tapestry. Close your eyes. Let constellations reflect inside like candlelight in mirrored hall. Drift, guided by whispers older than mountain bones, yet soft as first lullaby. Dreams chart navigation. Stars mark safe harbors. And destiny, patient, luminous, keeps watch until dawn folds you back into waking tides. Chapter 9. The Sisterhood of Royal Hearts. Beneath the tapestry of stars that crowns every kingdom, an invisible thread shimmers, too fine for eyes, too strong for swords. It winds through turret and tide, garden and glacier, binding princess to princess in a hush-bright sisterhood older than their crowns and deeper than their oceans. They seldom speak of it aloud. Some would call it magic, others, fate. Yet each young queen knows, in the quiet between one heartbeat and the next, that somewhere, beyond forest or fjord, another princess feels the same pulse echoing through her ribs. It is comfort, compass, and secret promise all at once, and tonight we will follow that silver thread wherever it coils. 1. Rapunzel, Elsa Sundrop. Gold meets comet ice. Rapunzel stands barefoot on castle tiles, still warm from afternoon sun, golden hair braided up in painter's ribbons. In her palm rests a single lantern wick, ready for the night's release. Far north, Elsa glides across a balcony of snow crystal, frost weaving quiet lace beneath her feet. At the same instant both inhale, the lantern flame gutters, the northern lights flare electric blue, neither sees the other. Yet a flicker of recognition shivers through them. Rapunzel's pulse cools. Elsa's cheeks flush with soft heat, as if sunlight and starlight paused to shake hands inside their chests. Years earlier, the first sign of their bond arrived as sketches. Rapunzel, newly free, drew snowflakes that would not melt even when painted in summer pastels. Elsa, newly crowned, found herself tracing spirals of gold in frost windows, sun-drop shapes she had never seen. When danger later loomed over Arendelle, Rapunzel jolted awake, hair crackling with static, lanterns in her dreams extinguished by phantom wind. In Corona's palace, she penned a letter she could not explain. "Hold to your sister, warmth will guide you home." She sent it west with a trading vessel, trusting tides to finish the journey. Days after Elsa's storm subsided, the letter arrived, sealed in wax yet smelling faintly of snow. That night both kingdoms released lanterns, gold flames and blue sparks rising to kiss in the stratosphere. From then on, when Rapunzel laughs, frost patterns on Elsa's study window curl into sunflowers. When Elsa sings, the sun-drop flower by Rapunzel's tower bows on its stem, gathering dew like grateful tears. 2. Aurora Belle. Dreamwalkers across midnight corridors. Slumber is Aurora's oldest companion. She drifts easily, softly, through veils of starlit poppies and silver streams. Belle's dearest refuge is the beast's endless library, where midnight oil pools and forgotten inkwells and stories breathe in dust motes. One spring twilight, as Aurora slipped into her nightly wander, she dreamed of shelves reaching sky-high, ladder wheels humming across carpets, rose-red drapes fluttering in draftless halls. She woke, heart thumping with names she'd never read, worlds she now longed to know. Miles away, Belle fell asleep at her desk, cheek upon a book that refused to open, one of the heart scripts. She dreamed of waltzing through a ballroom made of dawn clouds, every step scattering petals the color of Aurora's gown. When she woke, the heart script lay open to a fresh chapter titled, When One Dream Calls Another. Belle gasped. The script rarely unveiled itself without silent request. She followed the instructions: copy a stanza, press it between rose petals, and leave it on a windowsill at dusk. Aurora, walking her palace garden that same evening, found a page fluttering among briar roses. Belle's stanza, still smelling of library pine. She read it aloud, and her voice drifted through moonbeams into Belle's window, where it rustled shelves until the correct volume slid free. Since then, their conversation continues. Verses carried by wind, story ideas blooming as shared lucid dreams. When Aurora dreads the shadow of old curses, she feels Belle's steady scholar courage warm her pulse. When Belle doubts her place among roaring nobles, a drifting petal of Aurora's dawn pink calms her quill. 3. Jasmine Moana. Tales, traveled by tide letter. Agrabah rests in desert embrace. Motunui dances on restless waves. Yet at dawn, both smell of salt, a quiet hint of their connection. Jasmine thrills in the palace aviary, telling Raja and doves of distant horizons. Her stories spill into glass bottles, sealed and placed, secretly, into palace fountains that feed underground rivers. Those rivers seep toward the shore, releasing bottles into open sea. Currents, guided by old dragon magic perhaps, nudge them along star paths until one dusk a bottle strikes Moana's outrigger with a gentle clink. Inside, parchment swirling with jasmine oil fragrance, urging the reader to seek the horizon beyond fear. Moana laughs. The wording matches her own heart. She scribbles back about sea turtles ferrying constellations across coral canyons, corks the bottle, and sends it east on a moon current. Months later, Jasmine watches palace servants retrieve amphorae from marketplace wells and discovers Moana's reply, now scented with salt plum. Thus begins their tide letter exchange. Maps drawn in sand-colored ink, recipes for coconut date pies, and gentle warnings of storms or sandstorms they sense in shared dreams. During the Kraken monsoon, Jasmine woke with hair damp as though from seawater. She hurried to balcony and saw a cloud formation shaped like Moana's sail, urging her to postpone a merchant fleet. In turn, when desert fever spread through Motunui travelers, Moana dreamed of a tiger pacing shade silk tents, leaving paw prints that sprouted aloe. She brewed the leaf tonic, crediting her golden cat vision, and the fevers broke like tides receding. Across sand and swallow, jasmine flower and sea foam, their sisterhood navigates by bottle and breeze. 4. Letters on wind, dreams at dusk, a shared humming tune. Not all messages travel by parchment. Some ride the wind itself, whistles through iron lattice, sighs across wheat fields, hushes between frozen pines. Rapunzel once learned a lullaby from village children, a four-note hum easy as breathing. She hummed it while braiding flowers, never guessing its reach. That night, Aurora's starfall gem pulsed to the same notes. Later, Tiana stirred soup au pistou and caught herself humming the identical tune, though she'd never heard it. The melody hopped continent to continent, carried by wind spirits who adore a catchy refrain. Soon, palace halls across kingdoms vibrated with it, a secret handshake in song. Dreams at dusk work similarly. When one princess settles into twilight half-wake, those liquid minutes before lanterns glow, the sisterhood senses it. Snow White will pause mid-apple pie, feeling a flicker of spinning wheel worry. Aurora needs comfort. She hums the sun-drop tune into pastry dough, and across realms, Aurora's nightmare softens like sugar under heat. If Belle's candle gutters with sickly green smoke, sign that enchanted objects quarrel, Jasmine feels sand shift beneath her, reminds a stable boy to speak kindly to his mare, sending waves of gentleness back through invisible channels. The network is intuitive, like geese adjusting formation without a word. 5. Empathy alarms when one is in danger. The thread glows hottest when peril draws near. Pocahontas once steadied her canoe mid-river, heart lurching as though struck by unseen arrow. Hours later, wind brought tidings of an ambush aimed at Merida's clan. Pocahontas had felt the first tremor of danger. She lit sage, whispering prayers that whoosh across Atlantic gusts. In Dunbrach, Merida smelled foreign smoke, veered her hunt path, and evaded the trap. Elsa recounts stepping from a council meeting, snowflakes swirling around her braid though the day was calm. She sensed Rapunzel's shiver, Gothel's final desperate lunge, minutes before it occurred. She raised a mirror spell around Arendelle, not knowing why. Later, Rapunzel's lantern carried a message. I lived. Did you feel it too? There are gentler alarms. When Aurora pricks her finger on a rose thorn, Tiana's soup oversalts. When Moana's tide swings dangerous high, Belle's ink blotches words she hasn't yet written. Small glitches in daily rhythm. They check them, whisper thanks, and adjust course. The sisterhood runs on trust. Sense. Respond. Release. 6. The circle gathering. Once every quiet eclipse. Old lore says that when a lunar eclipse slides over realms in total hush, every sister dreams the same place, a clearing ringed by gleaming thrones, some ice, some blossom marble, some woven vines, some carved sandstone. In the center, a pond mirrors the reddened moon. One by one, sleepy princesses stumble into the dream clearing, greet each other with shy laughter. They trade tokens, a frost flake hairpin, a bayou teaspoon, a tiger eye bead, a starpath shell. They speak no audible language, yet understand every gesture because their empathy has no dialect. At dawn, the eclipse ends, the dream dissolves, and each awakes holding the token she received. Jasmine once found a tiny copper kettle on her pillow. The next evening, she used it to pour mint tea for a nervous suitor, and the conversation unfolded with unexpected softness. Belle awoke clutching a single aurora green thread. She wove it into a bookmark, and every time she reread a line, it glowed brighter, guiding her to passages useful for a friend's grief. The tokens fade after fulfilling purpose, returning to that unseen pond until next eclipse. 7. A symphony of heartbeats. Scholars with crystal stethoscopes have tried charting this phenomenon. They discovered that each princess's resting heartbeat sits at a unique note. Rapunzel a bright E, Elsa a serene A, Aurora a lilting F sharp, Belle a warm C. When crises brew, notes slide together into harmonic chord, distance no hindrance. The scholars recorded one lapse where all beats blended into a single lullaby measure, identical to the four-note hum echoing through castles. They named the event Concordia Cordis, Harmony of Hearts. But spreadsheets and diagrams cannot capture the sweetness of that chord, only a dreamer's ear can. 8. Rocking toward rest in the sisterhood's embrace. Now, dear listener, imagine yourself a new link in this chain. Rapunzel's lantern flickers outside your window, casting gold halos on the wall. Elsa's rune light drifts under your door, bringing cool hush. You taste jasmine and sea salt on the air, Jasmine's stories, Moana's tide letters mingling. Belle's turning pages rustle your curtains. Aurora's feather star lands softly on your pillow, releasing a sigh of dawn. Your breath aligns to the chord, matching whichever note completes the harmony tonight. Feel the sisterhood encircle you. If danger troubles your dreams, know that somewhere a princess stirs, her tea too bitter, her sketchline askew, alerted to your need. If joy tumbles out of you like lantern flame, she feels that warmth too, humming the tune while braiding hair or steering sail. You are held in their web of gentle alarm and shared delight. Draw a blanket to chin. Hum the 4 notes. Imagine them flying through keyholes, across fjords, over dunes, under sea foam, tapping each sister gently. We're safe. Sleep now. Lanterns float upward, tide letters bob under moon, roses close, Raja's tail swishes, stirring jasmine-scented dusk. Let silver thread loop once around your wrist, soft as kitten fur, strong as comet ice. Close your eyes within its cradle. The sisterhood of royal hearts keeps watch, unseen but certain. Their shared humming tune drifts on wind and water alike, and tonight it sings you softly, softly, into dream. Chapter 10. A Candle for Every Princess. Night glides across the realms like a velvet shawl, scattering silver hush over forests, fjords, deserts, and bays. You feel it settle, soft upon lashes, steady upon breath, while 1,000 hearths bank low and the moon crowds her bright companions into deeper retreat. In this quiet, every princess keeps a single candle burning, a patient, watching flame that steadies the dark, then gentles into it. Let us wander, silent as moth wings, from kingdom to kingdom, following the small glow of these bedside guardians until every wick sighs into sleep. 1. Bell Candle of Half-Read Promise. High spires of the beast's once cursed castle loom against a sky powdered with frost stars, their jagged silhouettes now softened by ivy and forgiveness. Inside the West Wing library, shelves doze beneath dust-framed moonbeams. Belle lies curled in a velvet window alcove, one arm dangling from a staircase of pillows, the other draped across the open pages of a book too wondrous to close. On a bronze side table flickers Lumiere's littlest heir, a palm-high taper molded from fresh beeswax. Its wick bows and straightens, practicing polite nods. Every flutter of its flame brightens the paragraph where Belle drifted off, a tale of glass mountains, of letters delivered by singing swans, of a hero who finds the right word, rather than the right sword. The candle reads for her now, light dancing across sentences, storing the adventure in tiny sparks that float upward to rest upon the chandelier. They will wait there all night, ready to tumble back onto the page when she wakes. Book edges cast long, gentle shadows across Belle's freckled knuckles, and you can almost hear paper exhale, relieved to rest yet eager for morning tongues. The flame dips lower, as if conducting a lullaby for dust motes swirling like lazy fireflies. When at last wax pools around its base, the candle slides into quiet, leaving a fingertip of ember glowing until the minute her breathing slows into the rhythm of deep dream. Then, with a sound softer than pages turning, it fades. Ink settles. Adventures pause, patient. 2. Tiana Candle of Sugar-Spun Dawn. Follow the hush to New Orleans, where shutters breathe jazz and cobblestones smell of chicory cafes. Through the back door of Tiana's palace, now emptied of twilight customers, You enter a kitchen alive only with the click of cooling cast iron. Tiana stands at the stove, wooden spoon in hand, stirring tomorrow's gumbo so flavors greet sunrise already married. Balanced on the counter is a stubby little candle pressed into the bottom of a sugar tin. No ornate holder, just usefulness. Its flame trembles golden and throws buttery halos onto hanging copper pots. With every figure-8 swirl of the spoon, stardust gathers flecks like powdered silver drift from nowhere, seasoning the broth with quiet sparkle. Ancient queens from bayou dream paths lean over her shoulder, unseen but smiling, their lessons simmering in the steam. Tiana tastes, hums approval, and finally sets the spoon aside. She drapes a towel over the pot, wipes the ladle clean, then cups the tin to shield the wick. For one last moment the flame brightens, gratitude for time, for toil, for tomorrow's laughter at crowded tables. Then she whispers, "Night-night, baby," and gives a gentle puff. Darkness swirls with cinnamon and hope. The kitchen rests, promises steep. 3. Moana candle of telling waves. Trade lantern-lit streets for ocean swell. On Motunui's quiet strand, palms sway like tall storytellers, cupping the shore with leafy hands. Farther out, an outrigger canoe rocks in tide-tug hush, rigging ticking like distant wind chimes. But Moana sleeps not aboard ship tonight. She lounges in a hammock strung between 2 leaning coconut trees, only yards from the surf, the hammock belly rising and falling with her breath as if it too were part of the sea. Stuck upright in a groove of sand beside her is a shell-carved candlestick. The taper inside burns sky blue, flame so small a passing crab might eclipse it. Each time a wave pulls back, the candle flickers forward, drawing water's stories up the beach and across Moana's face, a school of manta rays migrating beneath moon glare, coral polyps opening like sunrise flowers, an uncharted atoll forming beyond the horizon. The flame knows these tales because the ocean told it first, lighting the wick with a kiss of phosphorescence harvested from cresting foam. Moana's fingers twitch, tracing rope knots and dreams, steering toward tomorrow's new path. The candle seems to nod, satisfied. When the tide achieves slack calm, it sinks lower, blue dissolving into pale pearl, until only a smoke thread remains. That smoke drifts seaward, curling into the watery darkness like ink returning to inkwell, and the hammock rocks on, a cradle in the world's oldest nursery. 4. Snow-white candle of quiet compassion. Slip east across forests quilted in midnight blue. Pines gather close around a clearing where a small cottage rests beneath a roof of moss and dwarf-fashioned shingles. Snow White stands outside, moonlight sewing silver into her ebony hair while she brushes the coat of a young deer. The fawn's ears flick at night insects, its eyes brim with sleepy trust. Each stroke of her brush lifts forest dust, 8 fears, summer gnats, braiding comfort into the animal's shy heart. Just behind them, on a stump smooth, voice is half lullaby, half prayer. The candle's light seems to flow down the deer's spine, knitting courage into muscle. Somewhere in distant kingdoms, sisters feel a warm rush in their chests. The empathy thread tugged gently, saying, "All is well here. Dream easy." When the brush's last bristle settles and the fawn curls into leaf-soft sleep, Snow White kisses its forehead, then lifts the candle. She carries it to the cottage window, placing it inside upon a sill of pine. She bows her head. Flame bows back. Together they breathe. One long inhalation of peace, and the wick slips into ember, then ash, surrendering glow to the starlight filtering through lace curtains. 5. Rapunzel Elsa twin candles, one glow. Though the night grows late, 2 more flames call for a brief nod, because sisterhood rarely sleeps all at once. In Corona's highest turret, Rapunzel paints a last stroke onto a mural of lanterns, tiny yellow flecks on violet dusk. At her elbow, A stubby artist's candle splutters, refilling her palette with dancing gold until she leans back satisfied. Far north, Elsa sets quill beside snow-rune charts, exhaling crystalline mist. Her desk holds a slim candle whose flame burns frosty blue, yet warms the parchment without singeing. Unseen winds carry each flame's essence through open windows. Gold spirals into the aurora. Blue descends like gentle snow onto orchard walls. For a single, perfect moment, the two hues braid above cloudline. Sundrop and comet shard intertwining, then drift over every realm as faint glitter, confetti for shared rest. The candles dim simultaneously, as if obeying the same whispered cue. Rapunzel yawns, Elsa smiles. Twin wicks drop pearls of wax and fall dark. 6. Everywhere at once, the dimmer's lullaby. Now picture the map you've been carrying in your heart. Those kingdoms, those cliffs and bays, and watch as tiny specks of amber wink out, one by one, like farewell notes in Morse code of comfort. Tiana's sugar tin ember cools to caramel. Belle's wax pool freezes around a blossom of extinguished light. Moana's shell cup glints empty as starlight claims the beach. Snow White's apple holder radiates final blush, then settles to coal. A hush spreads. Thick, sweet, inevitable. Crickets give their last two chirps, river eddies hush. Even moonlight dims, wrapping itself in thin cloud shawls, respecting the stillness candles wrote into the night. You stand at the center of that map, dear listener, holding no torch, needing none, for the afterglow inside you is steady as any flame. Somewhere a breeze rustles curtains, bell shifts, books dreaming of shelves. Somewhere a spoon clinks as Tiana turns in sleep, gumbo flavors aligning like restful planets. Waves hush louder as Moana's hammock rocks slower, slower. The deer's breathing evens against Snow White's cottage wall, each exhale frosting pain to heart-shaped fog that fades, leaving glass clear for sunrise. 7. Fade into dreams. Your own room, wherever it lies, feels lighter now, as if ghosts of those candles arrived to tuck themselves into corners, promising to keep watch till dawn. Perhaps you smell a phantom of beignet sugar or briny tide or forest pine. Maybe you glimpse a swirl of gold or blue against eyelids, residue of lantern frost sparkle. That is the sisterhood's parting gift. Portable hush. Breathe once, deep as fjords. Breathe again, sweet as apple pastry. Let body sink. Mattress hammock, blanket tied, pillow moss. No more travel tonight. The story lantern hangs on last hook, wick trimmed, flame surrendered to safe dark. In that dark waits softness, not fear, patience, not hurry, dreams, not demands. If mind wanders back to Belle's library, Tiana's kitchen, Moana's shore, Snow White's clearing, follow it. Those places welcome visitors made of musing, but if mind insists on nothing at all, only blank velvet, accept that too. Candles taught us. The moment glow is no longer needed. Quitting gracefully is holy. Outside, first birds keep respectful silence. Dawn is still an hour away, sharpening her palette. Inside, your breathing matches the hush written by wicks gone dark. Stories rest like closed books. Adventures age in stockpots. Voyages furl sails. Forest creatures hush songs. Twin rulers of sun and snow dream mutual warmth. All realms keep their own candle stubs, ready for tomorrow's spark. But tonight, they sleep in unified gloom, sweet as cocoa steam, wide as galaxy sigh. So close your eyes, dear dreamer. Hear wax harden. Hear moon cloud. Hear nothing, which is everything. The candles have finished their watch. Now it's your turn to drift. May your dreams burn steady, and may morning light them anew.